US President Donald Trump has announced a raft of harsher tariffs on South Korea. In a post to Truth Social, Trump says South Korea's legislature is not living up to its deal with the United States. President Lee and I reached a great deal for both countries on July 30th, 2025, and we reaffirmed these terms while I was in Korea on October 29, 2025. Why hasn't the Korean legislature approved it? I am hereby increasing South Korean tariffs on autos, lumber, pharma, and all other reciprocal tariffs from 15 to 25%. Shares for Korean car makers Hyundai and Kia dropped 5% to 3.4% respectively following the announcement. The US and South Korea had just released details of a trade agreement on Friday, and it includes $150 billion worth of Korean investment for US shipbuilding, and there's an additional $200 billion for other sectors. Now, Jack Barton is live for us in Seoul. It was all going so well, and apparently now it's not. So what is South Korea doing in response?
Well, according to the President's office this morning, there is an emergency meeting today with relevant officials. Now, the trade minister will be dispatched to the United States for talks with his counterpart there about what is going on. But I also spoke to a former Democratic Party, that's the ruling party here, trade official this morning, who said essentially the government is trying to wait out Trump. And they're not putting as much weight on these sorts of threats as they used to, given how many tariff threats Trump has made recently, including the threat of 100% tariffs against Canada. So they're not completely convinced that he'll go through with this. And the other thing is something this official said, and the country's finance minister said publicly the other day, they want to wait and see what the Supreme Court ruling is in the United States on whether the tariffs are even legal, because President Trump has been using the International Emergency Economic Powers Act of 1977, which does allow a president to bypass Congress if there is an economic crisis. And the Supreme Court is set to rule on that within the next few weeks on whether that's legal. So South Korea wants to see where that comes down, because that will have a big impact on tariff agreements all around the world if they rule that it's not illegal. And there's so much money tied up in these deals for South Korea, $350 billion. Trump wanted it in a lump sum. The president here said that would bankrupt the country, so it's in $20 billion installments. But of course, South Korea doesn't want to hand any money over before the ruling, because it knows even if the ruling's in its favor, it's very unlikely to get it back. And amongst all of that, a rising backlash as well. Ever since that ICE raid in the United States on the Hyundai plant that saw Kia workers at that plant deported, some of them in manacles, and then also President Trump calling that $350 billion a deal sweetener, it has really raised the ire of the public here. And so the government, knowing all of this, feeling it has some time, is clearly biding its time, and perhaps the emergency meeting is all part of that.
Jack Barton, thank you very much. Jack, live from Seoul there.
Don't miss out, get the full picture. Subscribe to Al Jazeera for reliable news and expert insights. Like, share, stay ahead.